G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. We are here once again on Kawasan to bring you some 1v1 action from EGC TV's brand new tournament. Let's get into it. Spawning in on the southwest side of the map in the colour purple, playing as the English, representing Team Liquid, it's Demu. And in the north side of the map in the colour yellow, playing as the Mongols, representing Team 3D, it's Cat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kawasan. We've got ourselves a little bit of a water opening here as 3D Cat looks to put down his dock early on. On the other side of the map, though, take a look at what we've got coming out from Demu. Looks like it's going to be the exact same thing. And not only that, but they're on the same pond. Now, of course, if you're not familiar with Kawasan, this is a popular map from Age of Empires 2 that has been brought over to Age of Empires 4. It's been, I think we've seen it in a couple of tournaments before, but I suspect it's mainly being played at the moment, just largely because this is going to be in the Red Bull Wololo games that we'll see eventually propagate a little bit later in the year. So looking forward to it. To see exactly how the players look to strategize on this map. We've seen a game on this before. We saw the Japanese up against the English. So today we see the Mongols up against the English. Not typically a good matchup for the Mongols. Mainly because English have a lot of ways to deal with the Mongol threat early on in the game. But there's a bit of a caveat to that. And that is that the Mongols, at least in this early game, aren't going to be looking for too much aggression. Now, one of the follow-ups that we do typically see from the Mongols is to open with that barracks. But of course, Cat has not gone for an early Uvu here. He's gone straight into the dock, and that's not something that we typically see. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how Cat is going to try and leverage this early dock. The one thing to note, though, is that depending on how many fishing boats Demu gets out, so if he goes for a 3 fishing boat open, which we've seen quite successfully happen already in this event, that you can still get a very early age up time. We're talking about a 4-minute flat age up time here. So we'll have to see exactly what the plan is for Demu, but at this stage, looks like he's just going to commit to that. When it comes to after the Dark Age, moving on into the Feudal Age, I expect we're probably going to see quite a bit of a fight out of them here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Demu sort of stick to one TC until he gets to Castle Age. On the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised coming out from Cat to see the trade landmark. Of course, even on a map like this where trade isn't the best, you can still find a nice little angle, whether it be something over here, as long as you've got aggression towards the top side. It's probably harder to do it on a map like this where the trading post does spawn in the middle. I guess the alternative is that he goes for a second town center, or maybe that he just even avoids that and just goes completely on the water. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what the plan is. Age up, still quite a little bit off here for Demu. Now, I will also mention that if you haven't already, make sure you check out EGC TV's Master of Realms event. It'll be happening this weekend, so I'll leave a link in the description to where you can watch it live. I've got it listed at 15 GMT. I'm not sure if that is the correct time, because with Australian time zones especially, things can often... that doesn't really make sense, though. 15 GMT is like the Greenwich Mean Time, right? Like, has nothing to do with Australia. All I know is that when it's 1 AM in Australia, that's when EGC TV starts, and that's when I need to wake up to watch it or to cast it, one of the two. Normally, I have to wake up a little bit earlier to cast it because I got to have a shower, got to make myself look presentable, put on my makeup, all that good stuff. Not really. I don't wear makeup. You know, there's something good about being a dude not having to wear makeup, man. I was watching my wife do her makeup. Man, it takes so long to do makeup. Like, we just, like, we go for a shower and we're all good to go. Whereas, like, she's got to... You got to tell her 2 hours in advance that we're going somewhere so she can get ready. It's kind of wild when you think about it. Like, so much of our lives is just not not doing our makeup. It's wonderful. You get all this extra free time. Though, to be fair, you spend a lot more time on the toilet just because you've got to... and I'll say toilet and shower just because you've got to think about the state of the world, right? That's when you do it. So there's that. Anyway, on the other side of the map, Deerstone's going to be going down. What the hell, Drongo? What are you talking about, mate? Get on with it. Deerstone's coming down on the other side of the map. Abbey of Kings coming down for Demu. So no Council Hall going to be coming out here for him. And I suspect that's largely because he hasn't seen any pressure early on. If there was a barracks, if there was a couple of spearmen or 4 spearmen sieging down this dock, then he may have thought about moving into the Council Hall just to get some early longbows out here and defend. But he says, you know what? I've got plenty of time here. I'm not going to fuss around, but have a look at this. 3 vills on gold, definitely indicating it's a feudal age play at this stage. Normally you can tell from the villagers on gold in the transition period as to what the plan is for the English player. So if we see 2 vills on gold, it's going to be largely just a focus on a rush. 3 vills on gold, normally it's going to be eco into military upgrades. 4, 5, 6 vills on gold, that's going to be a castle age timing. And any amount of villages on stone is normally a good indicator that it's going to be a second town center. But the 3 vills on gold, to me, definitely says expect to see the double broadaxe if it's not already through. In fact, where is that double broadaxe? Never mind. We've got galleys coming out. We've got a double dock coming in on this top side as well. Interesting that it's been such a delay here for demo. Naval arrow slit's going to be coming through here. Still no double broadaxe at the moment. In fact, he's moved one of those vills off the gold. We do see the king now starting to come out, looking to put some pressure on towards that hardened Khan. Meanwhile, towards the south side, we do now start to see a fight over the second dock. Or second pond, rather. Galley now going to be coming through. Keep in mind that we do have those naval arrow slits now arriving for Cat on the north side. So this dock is going to be able to hold it down. Kawasan typically going to be fought over this water. Normally the way that it works is he who controls the water controls the game, but it's not always the case. Depends how much you're going to take advantage of that water and realistically how long you've got it for, because normally it takes a bit of a while to pay off, depending on how early you get it, but the earlier you get it, normally the better. Vil might go down here. You can see the Khan trying to work its magic. It's only got 2 health left on it. Definitely will be going down. Khan should be able to escape as well. It's going to bring that king into fire underneath the dock, but manages to fall back for the moment. Scout going to come out and start chasing as well. He's got the one single area where he can actually gather this up. Now have a look at the fishing boats that he's got towards this top side. Just gathering up on the shoreline fish for the moment. A little bit fearful of the deep water fish and the fact that he'd have to potentially risk losing those fishing boats to the enemy. Meanwhile, more scuffles happening out on this south pond. A little bit of arrow ship on arrow ship action. Meanwhile, let's check in on the bases and see how we've got with regard to, or how we're going with regard to the military. At the moment, no real focus on any land military, with the exception of the Khan, of course, this is a non-negotiable, and of course the King, which is a non-negotiable when you go for the Abbey of King's second military ship. Now going to be coming out on this south side. Of course, it's going to be the Hulk, looking to try and bully that Dow off the water. Or rather, that light junk off the water. Not going to be able to find it, though, as the war junk comes through. Some long-range arrows there. Did you see the range on the Springald ship? It's kind of wild how far those things fire. Fishing boats will be going down here. Demo going to be losing out. Is this the first one? No, it's not going to be the first one. In fact, we've obviously seen that Vil that went down. Cat's been very relentless on the south side of the map here as well. One thing to note, he does have the Abbey of Kings nearby, so as long as he just pulls the villagers back, they will be able to heal up underneath the town center. But you've got to have the cognizance to actually do that. It can be a bit tough. Hulk now going to be fighting underneath the fire of the dock here. Keep that in mind that there's plenty of damage coming through, and Cat could afford to go into a second dock upgrade if he wanted to. But we don't actually see that just yet. Not really. I feel like neither of these players is really committing to either pond just yet. Demo ship does connect with the Hulk. It's down to 16 health. He's repairing slowly, but a single springled emplacement or single springled ship fire will be able to take it down. So very well played there by Cat, managing to secure a little bit of an advantage until the Hulk pops out. But it definitely feels like, as a villager does go down in the gold vein, that no one's really committing to either pond just yet. Both players looking to spread the load over both of them. But we do start to see upgrades coming through. It's going to be Wheelbarrow that arrives now for Demo. Archery range gets thrown down as well. And of course, we do have that double broadaxe that has finally come through. I'm not sure what the timing was on that, but Vil's still under pressure. 3 worker kills aside at the moment. Looks like it might be another one that goes down, but manages to keep it alive. Very nicely microed there from Cat. Very, very difficult to squeeze that villager into the front, get the other villagers behind it, but he manages to find a way. King continuing to put on pressure, while on the south side, we've got ourselves action on both ponds, and you can see how important it is that these players fight over both of these ponds, just because securing the pond is a huge gift to your economy, because this is the gift that keeps on giving. These deep water fish, for anybody who is not aware, as the demo ship makes a great connection. I think that might be Cat securing. You know what? I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch, because I will just say right now that when it comes to water, even though you look like you're down and out, like Demo can very easily sweep this. You can see he's got the Demo ship in queue right now. This is going to be a dead war junk. He's only got 2 more boats out here. He could potentially look to get the dock upgrade. So there's the dead war junk that comes through. So now he needs to move into, I think he needs to go into a Hulk and then into a demo ship on this south side if he wants to try and retain this. But remember that on the other side, Cat is also going to be pumping more. But at this stage, it looks like everything is going in favor of Cat on this south side. Towards the north, what have we got? We got 2 Hulks and an archer ship up against a couple of war junks here. So a decent defense that's still coming through for Cat. So he'll be looking to try and force his opponent off water here. Now remember, as I was touching on before, that your deep water fish continue regenerating throughout the game. So even if you were to take food off them, they're going to regen back. So you might look at this and think, wow, you know, that's 4,000 food. That's a lot of food, especially on a map like Kawasan, which doesn't really have a lot of food outside these berries in the middle. Well, hold your horses, because there are plenty of fish to be had that are going to keep regenerating throughout the game. So it's a really important point to keep fighting over. And we do now see a Hulk on that south side. No real commitment here from Cat. I think one of the big things to do would have just been to send a couple of send a couple of demo ships into the docks of Demu. I think that would have been the smartest move, and I think that's what we might have happening right now. Just finish off that dock completely. It's expensive to invest into, but once it's there, once it's done, it's done. There's really no more that needs to be said after that. But we do now start to see. Looks like it's going to be here. It's going to be fishing boats for days right there. He queues up about 6 fishing boats and says, "All right, we're ready. We're ready to invest." Meanwhile, on this north side, the fight continues to happen. King just getting real value in right here. 6 worker kills so far for Demu. Now, granted, a few of those are going to be fishing boats, but definitely quite a portion of them are going to be villagers as well. He's been relentless on this gold vein, just really hurting Cat quite a bit. And I think this is just one of the consequences of not having access to walls. You know, such a little wall would have been able to fix this problem. He's going to keep coming back. Look at this, able to pick up another. Oh, I say another villager. What was that? Did you see? Did you go? Oh, the king gets zapped. See you, mate. Now, there was a villager here. Yeah, this one right here. It looked like he was going to be going down 100%, but for some reason, the king decided he was going to take out the other villager instead. It sucks, but it happens. It's one of those things. But now, the final fight, at least over the water, begins to brew as Cat tries his best in this situation to force them off the water. Now, keep in mind, this series is a best-of-5 series, so even the person that wins this game doesn't necessarily win the series. Now, if you'd like to go and watch the full series, I'll leave a link to EGC TV, where you can go and catch that bad boy live. Rather, not live, but go and watch that bad boy in full. But now, Demo slowly being forced off the water. Cat actually in a very decent spot here. King's Palace is going to be coming up for Demo. Now, this is one of the options that you've got when you lose water on this map. There's a couple of ways that you can play it, and we've seen, as an example, we saw in a previous game earlier, where the English just really looked to maintain a big mass of infantry and just go to the enemy base, look to try and cause havoc, took out a lot of villages, and was able to even up the worker count. The alternative is that you, instead of focusing on bringing down the enemy's worker count, you look to push yours up. In this situation where there's so much deep sea fish, I'd almost be tempted to say from the perspective of Demu that adding in a second town center, or a third town center in this case, would be a really smart move. So going into stables, which is what he's doing, is the right call here. Going into knights, it's going to be really important, looking to try and control the map. But I think adding in a third TC, maybe in about 2 or 3 minutes, could be a really smart move for him, and just try and build up that villager lead as much as he possibly can, because it will be inevitable that there is going to be a tough timing he has to deal with here, and he wants to make sure that he's got a bit of an insurance policy in that late game. A defensive keep could be really powerful as well, and just try and help him survive. But now Keshiks making their way through, going to be able to pick up a villager, stopping the blacksmith from being fully constructed. We see the longbows able to get off their palings, trying to dish out some damage here. Able to take out, you can see them taking out and dealing quite a bit of damage here to the Keshiks as they do get caught. Knight's now going to be popping out. He's got the 2 stables here. Only the 2 stables. Got a lot of resources in the bank. We'll switch it over to income per minute so you get a bit of an idea on where these guys are at. King going to be bringing back a couple Keshiks with him as well, saying, "Hey guys, would you mind taking care of these?" And the knights step up to the plate and say, "You know what? We definitely will." Monastery going to be coming down as well. And one thing to note is that Cat is nowhere really near aging up. Now, granted, it would be about a minute or 2 before he'd even have the resources to do it. But remember that he could just do a force hand in, and I think he'd be okay. I reckon he could probably force hand in about a minute's time, and he would have all the resources he needs to. So at least 90 seconds away from aging up on the side of Cat, which is going to be a great window here for Demu to start picking up relics, and that's going to be another way that he can close the gap here when it comes to that eco count. Now, when it comes to the military count, have a look at the difference here, because Demu is completely off the water, but that means that there's quite a bit of military population that's actually going to be sitting kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say useless, because of course it does have its uses. These, you know, you've got the war junk that's over here. It's got a pretty decent range on it, 6 tiles of range, so it means that you can't really come in close. You can always use these ships a little bit later on. Maybe Demu forgets about them in the middle of a fight and the mangonel gets a little bit too close to the water. But look at this, already beginning to put on some pressure towards the gold mine. I tell you what, this king has caused so much havoc on this gold mine in this game. But Cat manages, at least at this stage, to do a bit of a runner. Vils are moving pretty quickly. Remember that he does have the wheelbarrow upgrade together with the Yam network from the Deer Stones. So he's going to be moving pretty quick, but obviously not as quick as the Knights. Knights managed to get on out of there as well. We do see on the south side, the relics are starting to come through. That's going to be the first one. Second Monk now moving towards the middle of the map. Keep in mind, this relic towards the top side. It's going to be very difficult for Demu to pick this one off, just mainly because of these warships that are nearby. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that one for him. Meanwhile, over towards that north side of the map, remember that Cat is fighting down an age here. Not only that, but you'd probably say the Knight, you know what, you wouldn't even probably say, you would say definitely the Knight is a stronger head-to-head unit than the Keshik. And that's going to mean that unless Cat outnumbers his opponent, he's going to have a difficult time fighting up against these Knights. We can take a look at the stat difference. 230 health, 24 damage, compared to 145 health, 15 damage. When it comes to the attack speed as well, we've got a 1.38 attack speed against a 1.5 attack speed. So very, very similar attack speeds, but huge difference, especially when it comes to the damage. Because if we talk about the damage after armor, it's quite a bit. So if you have a look here, so we've got 15 attack, and then that's up against, say, the 4 armor. So you're really only doing 11 damage to them. And compare that to the Keshiks, which have got 3 armor. Up against the 24 attack, you're talking about 21 damage. So almost double the damage the Knight has got over the Keshik in these fights. And of course, they've got quite a bit more health on them as well, which means a lot more longevity. But now the crossbows start to make their way out. Vils fall back. Step Redoubt going to get thrown down on the north side of the map here for Cat. 11 villagers on it. He's not in a particular rush to get this bad boy up. When he hits the castle age, you'll be thinking probably about moving into... Oh, you can see right there, Demu making a little bit of a mistake, forgetting to shift-click the Monk all the way around the edges of these ponds, and does lose out that relic. So that's going to be in 3 relics at the moment, still on the battleground, on the field for Cat to potentially pick up. Adds a couple more villagers over to the Step Redoubt. That's going to be 18 vills on this Step Redoubt to get it up just before the 18-minute mark. Not too bad for him there, but not a lot of gold left on this bad boy. His main focus now is going to be on upgrading these Keshiks. We can see a whole bunch of upgrades coming through. He's going to move into wedge rivets, veterancy for horsemen, as well as Keshiks. And we also see step lancers coming through. An expensive upgrade, but of course, one that can start to make a difference in those fights. And once again, Cat going to be running for dear life as he heads on out of this gold vein. He's been definitely focusing on this gold vein towards the front, and it has been costing him quite a lot of villagers and villager seconds. We'll say that much as another vill goes down. Keshik numbers starting to rise. Horsemen being added in as well. Knights going to be looking to make their way towards that top side and realizes very quickly, he's like, hold on a minute, that's a lot of units, and you do have veterancy through now, and I am fighting underneath your town center. All of my units are getting cleaned up here. This isn't the best fight for me, and I got to agree, Demo. I don't know about this fight. Look at the lifesteal that's coming through. The vampires of the Keshiks. Look, regaining the health. Unfortunately, not going to be regaining fast enough as well, some of them do manage to stay alive here. 1 Keshik on 1 HP. And now the Khan arrives. A little bit of extra movement speed to help out the lads. Force the English away from him. At the moment, the military count in favor of Cat. Definitely the population in favor of him as well. But you've got to keep in mind that we do still have quite a lot of ships on the field. And there, Demu finally manages to sneak this relic away. Very well done from him. That's going to be 3 relics in his favor. On the side of Cat, though, have we got any? There we go. The prayer tent's now coming out. In fact, he's gone for a double prayer tent. He's very late to Castle Age and throws down the double prayer tent to try and mitigate some of that. We'll see if he's able to pick up at the very least 2 of the relics. That last relic should be safe for him, but that 4th one, maybe he'll be able to contest it. But speaking of contesting, have a look at this. Demu definitely going to be in a tough spot as he tries to contest the center here. King going to be slowly hammering it away, but I think he might be okay. Keep in mind that he does have the military advantage, or rather the... what's the best way to say it? He's got the strength advantage, just doesn't really have the numbers advantage until the end of that fight, where it does slowly turn in favor of Demu. He falls back once again, and now we've got ourselves a game, ladies and gentlemen. 78 villagers against 77 villagers. Of course, Demu slowly but steadily climbing up on that villager count with that 2nd town center, the King's Palace. Of course, we don't see a 3rd one down just yet, but I think this is the perfect timing for it. Ideally, I'd love to see like a big shift of villagers onto stone. If we take a look at stone, he's just got a couple of villagers on it. I'd love to see, 10 vills move out over here, throw down a 3rd TC, maybe even on this stone, and then throw down a keep somewhere, then potentially look for an Imperial Age. I think that could be really strong in this situation. Obviously, the whole time, building up units, but the Imperial Age for the English, obviously, very, very potent. Something you need to be careful of, but I guess drawing out the game can also be quite dangerous up against the Mongols, especially when they've got water like this, because there is the threat that you do have the Bao Chads that inevitably make their life well and truly known to their English opponents. Now we do start to see sacred sites being taken. It's 1 for Demu over on that right side, and we do have a little bit of a base, I wouldn't say a base trade, but we've got Demu forcing his opponent away from his own base just by attacking the enemy base. A smart little move there. He's able to pick off 1 villager before they're able to make their way back into the town center. Still causing quite a bit of havoc here, but Cat's got a lot of units in queue, a lot of production as well. Oh my lord, have a look at the production he's got back here. A huge amount. Single relic in the prayer tent at the moment. 2nd relic about to be picked up. Wants to avoid fighting in this situation. You can see he's got quite a few range units on the backside here. You want to try and get your horsemen to connect. And if you fight in a choke point like this, it's going to be very hard to find a connection with those horsemen. That's the only reason you're making the horsemen here. It's because they're effective at dealing with the crossbows. But have a look at this. Able to fight right next to the water. The war junk's going to be able to get decent hits on to the enemy position. Armor. Arrow's going to be thrown. Or armor. Armor. Whistling arrow thrown off. I think it's called the whistling arrow. Whatever it's called. You guys know what I'm talking about. Thrown off by the Khan there. Horsemen, not many of them on the backside, able to pick off a couple of villagers here with these crossbows. That should give him a little bit of leverage, but the military advantage for Cat is going to be significant. I think Demu may have underestimated exactly what his opponent was doing in this situation. I feel like he's made a bit of a mistake. To me, what made the most sense was just chilling out, add that 3rd TC, add the keep down, look for that Imperial Age as well. At the same time, you're building up an army, and look at the amount of units that he's got here. This is a good amount of units. Wait for your opponent to come to you. That way, you've got the defender's advantage. You've also got the advantage of things like the keep. The advantage, of course, you're playing the English, so you know it's going to be really important to be fighting with network of castles or network of citadels when it inevitably comes through. And it's just something that was sort of let go by Demu in that regard. But sacred sites now being neutralized. Over on the west side, we do see a couple of Keshiks together with an Imam. At least it's... No, the Shaman. It's a Shaman. It's tough, man. Tough trying to remember all the names for all the different units of the civilizations that are identical. Imagine if Spearmen had a different name for every single civ. Like, the English had spears, but the French had pikes. How many names... What's the difference between a spearman and a pikeman? Well, I guess probably the weapon that they use. One uses a spear and the other uses a pike. All right, thanks, Strongo. That's good. That's good. Good intel. Anyway, spears getting slowly and steadily taken out. The crossbow numbers are pretty thick here, but at the same time, they've done a decent job of thinning the horseman numbers. My fear right now is for Demu, because with Demu losing back-to-back armies like this, he's taken 2 bad trades, and it's... I'm scratching my head. I shouldn't be scratching my head. I've just had a hair transplant, and that's one of the things they advise you is, like, don't scratch your head. So I shouldn't be scratching my head, but I can't help but scratch it when I see this kind of repeated... I understood the first time because it was like you're trying to bring your enemy away from your base, but the second time doesn't really make sense. We do see a keep coming down on the south side, so it might be... the keep... What's the purpose of this keep? Okay, he secures the stone, sort of gives himself a foothold to deny water, but do you even really want to deny water at this stage? Like, it's not like he's getting some huge bonus from water at this stage of the game. Like, this keep makes more sense just being right here. Like, just put the keep down right there, 3rd TC somewhere here, throw a stone wall around the edge, call it a day, put your your level 4. Put your level 4 landmark over here. You can see how long it's been. Oh, gosh. Let's talk hair transplant a bit, though. Jeez, that was fun. So they take hair from the side of my head, and they put it on the top of my head. We'll worry about that later, Drongo. You can scratch your head later, mate. Because Spearman going to have a tough time here against the crossbow mass that continues to build. This many crossbows are screaming mangonel. But you know what else is screaming mangonel? These Springalds. There's a whole bunch of Springalds out. He's got 2 Springalds on the back, but there's no siege out from his enemy. Why is he making springs? This is a real head scratcher. Drongo, stop doing it. Stop scratching the head. Oh, mate. Anyway, yeah. So it's called follicular unit extraction. That's the one that I had. So they individually prick little hairs from around the side of my head. They put them on the top of my head, and hopefully I won't be Aussie Baldo anymore. I'll be Aussie Drongo, the guy with hair. So that'll be cool. I'll keep the updates coming, right? Because at the moment we're at day number 10, look, by the time this goes live, it'll be day number 11. Look, slowly and steadily we get there. And speaking of slowly and steadily, Demu continues to turn the tides in this game. I don't know how he's doing it. I feel like the power from Cat should have been significantly greater, but somehow Demu finds a way back into it. Couple Springalds here. Able to... Oh, that's why the Springalds were being made. I was scratching my head. I was wondering why we got Springalds coming out here. There's no siege on the field. He's utilizing the Springalds to push back on water. But once again, it's the classic case of, well, why are we pushing on water? Like, it's been 26 minutes. Let the man have his water. It's okay. Like, we can mitigate the results of water. It's just going to take time for us to get there. I remember watching Lenok play against players that would take water, and he'd be like, okay, you take water. I'm going to go 3 TC Song Dynasty. And he would just out-boom them, even though they had water. There was only really one timing that you had to worry about. And that was like the 13, 12-minute timing attack fast castle. But speaking of castles, have a look at this. Demi going to be trying to channel the fast castle here, looking to emulate the success of... Maybe not doubt this castle wouldn't have been getting up. You know, this keep would be unfinished, but I suspect it's probably going to get up. He's going to lose a couple of vills. Horsemen coming through. Hold your horses, Drongo. Lord Doubt smiles. Lord Doubt smiles greatly. The keep is wanting to come up right now. He's also pushing towards the front side. The main focus is definitely on the castle as it is not coming up. The last vill will go down. Meanwhile, towards the front, Demu pushing out again. I feel like the one thing that we're not seeing is... I feel like Demu's not observing his win condition. Like, his win condition, surely it's just go Imperial and just beat your opponent with elite men-at-arms, right? Like, surely that's the win condition. But Demu now going to be pushing in. Numbers are looking decent. The Longbow's also picking off his opponent. Keep in mind, he is taking out water, though he is losing the keep over towards the west side. Step Out is still going to be pumping units. More reinforcements now coming through. A couple more men-at-arms going to be mixed in. And Cat, somehow, Demu is pulling this back. Cat's got... I do see a Mangonel in queue at the moment. There's the Siege Workshop. Second Siege Workshop was just constructed. Never really decided upon finishing. Continues falling back. Plenty of units coming out. Now we do see... What? Is... Okay. I guess Cat just surrendered right there. Normally in that situation, the game would finish and I'd have 20 seconds to close it out. But it seems like the game didn't want to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be me closing you out. You can see this is Cat's page right here, Conqueror 3. I'm going to assume that the Cat lost that game. In fact, we can just go check. You can see right here. It says EGC Kawasan defeat, but the results are pending. Anyway, that's going to be me You know what? We can check the post game now. Look at that. You can't do that normally in a casted game. You can't do it. We can have a look right here. So, yeah, we can definitely see Demu managed to pull that back, even though he lost water. And that's kind of crazy to me when you think about it. We got a hot minute right here to analyze the game post-game. So the Vill count had dwindled a little bit for Demu when he lost that keep, but momentum was still very strong. And the military count, despite losing those fights, he was able to rebuild, which is kind of crazy. So I don't know what Cat could have done differently. I feel like he was doing everything right. But Demu, despite making what in my mind seemed like mistakes, was still able to take the cake. So well played to him. I'll leave a link to EGC TV's tournament, Master of Realms. You go check him out. And of course, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.